everyone. Welcome to Backstory Sessions. I'm your host, Matt. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, it's Pat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co-host, Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Kat. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Well, it's finally February.
Yep, your favorite month of the year.
Well, it is love and Valentine's Day and love, and it's not my birthday month, but,
Yeah,
it's not your birthday month either.
that's true. It is not.
So, I don't know if it's the favorite, but it's right up there. I like this month in particular because we get to hear, well, we've started last February at least, kind of devoting the podcast of this month to the backstories of couples, love stories.
Right. Last year we had, who was it?
So we had Corey and Jonathan last year.
Yeah, and
we had Monica and CW.
Oh, yeah, Guns and Done.
Yeah, that was, really great too.
Yeah.
And, we had Mike.
Yeah.
So his was, not a romantic love story, but still a love story, of his friend and the trivia and moving and all of that.
Yeah.
So, so we've had some really interesting love stories, and I just really like that because they may not all end in the way that is a storybook because, as I've said, love is complicated. But
I have heard that, yes.
yes, but it just makes for some fascinating backstories too.
Mm-hmm.
And so our guest for this week, we've practically just watched her grow up,
That's right. I think when we first met her, she was still in high school.
She was, and she's been kind of looking for love, as we followed along with her, and like so I think, we were talking about like how many times that we've had her as a guest, and I think we had her for Unstoppable because she was going to direct that play.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened and shut down schools, and, like all of that happened. And we first thought it was just going to be, a week or two or something. And then everybody knows how that went.
Right.
But, we had her and her friends on as well, talking about graduating, during COVID and not getting to have your graduation. And we actually went to the graduation.
Right.
The outside, where everybody drives, outside in their car. And
yeah, they just drove around the parking lot and then to a couple other places. And yeah, I remember that.
We all waved and took photos.
Yeah.
And Mason waved at us, and that's what I remember of her graduation. And then, she went to college, and we spoke with her again to, see what it was like in that transition. And she was a wise woman when we spoke to her after high school.
Well, she was wise before that. Let's not,
Well, that was her words.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I always think she's been wise, but
older and wiser. Yes.
Yeah. So she had matured and, was like finding her way and looking for love at that time because I remember, so this would have been not last Valentine's, but the year before that, saying like, this is what Mason's looking for now because she had kind of a bad relationship, with the airplane guy or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I put the little post, like she's single and if you're a good guy out there, you know. And now this year she's on our Valentine's month show.
Yep. She's starting off the month of love.
She is. And I know there's going to be a special guest with her. So I'm really excited because we've actually never talked to a special guest that's going to be with her.
That's true. We have not.
So, I mean, I just feel protective of her and everything. And, I just want to, I got a lot of questions.
Right. Yeah. Let's find out how everything, how all this has transpired over the last, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
would have been.
Yeah. She's been a busy girl. Let's put it that way.
And so, it's great to catch up and with people that you have followed, a big part of their life and just see how it's playing out, if they're happy and, if they found like, if you're looking for love, if that's important to you, to find it is like a happiest thing. So I just want to feel that for her.
Sure.
Yeah. So
So, so
I will let you know after the interview if I do. You know,
okay.
keep an open mind here.
Right. All right.
But
So Valentine's Day is coming up. I think today is what what?
fourth,
Yeah. Okay. So we
I think
got
it's like a Wednesday, maybe
yeah
like the week after next. I think.
yeah. I got 10 days or so until the big day, I guess. So how many boxes of chocolate do you think are sold for Valentine's Day?
Oh goodness. I mean, so I guess I could go either way. Like a lot of people are trying to eat healthier and stuff, and maybe they're gonna go for chocolate covered strawberries, which I would prefer.
Oh,
But, like I do know it's a big deal, the heart-shaped boxes of candy.
right.
Although they taste horrible, like a lot of them are so sweet. It's like,
Yeah. Some of them are pretty bad.
yeah, I'm like, oh my God, you know, sweets for the sweet. But
So
at any rate,
how
I'm
many
gonna say,
boxes?
is this like in the US only or this number I'm trying to guess
Let's see.
or worldwide?
Gonna say in the U.S.
Okay, so in the US, how many? I'm going to say 2 billion boxes.
You're a little bit over.
Wow. Okay. 1 billion.
It's 36 million,
Okay. Well,
which equates to about 58 million pounds of chocolate.
wow. Probably a lot of it made in Hershey.
Some, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an amazing amount of candy, right? I mean,
Yeah,
chocolate.
that's for one day, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, how many Valentine's Day cards do you think are given each year?
Well, how many boxes did you say? 360
Million, yes.
million. So, I mean, there's gonna be more cards because like everybody that gets chocolate's gonna get a card.
Right.
And then, some people are gonna get cards and they don't get chocolate. So I'm gonna go back to 999,000. No, a million. Uh
A million?
now I was gonna go just right a little under a billion. I'm gonna say a billion.
No,
Okay, 500 million.
no. It's 145.
145 what?
145 million.
Oh, okay. I was like, I know there's more than 145 cards. Okay, 145 million. I mean, that is a lot,
Yeah.
but it's, I don't know. I would not have guessed that because like there's more candy than,
No. There's more cards than candy.
All right. So I was right in my thinking. Yeah. Some people, more people are going to get a card than candy. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good because I mean, okay, you could get a bad Valentine's card, like I suppose that they're all, loving, but there's probably some that are kind of like, I'm breaking up with you, I hate you,
Sure.
divorce, whatever, Valentine, goodbye, or something. Probably somewhere in that percentage, I would say.
All right. So, how much do you suppose people spend on their pets on Valentine's Day?
Oh gosh, people love their pets. I'm gonna say $100.
I mean, like total.
Um, well, I was gonna say that total. You mean, like people spend more than $100 on their pets for Valentine's?
All people, how much do they spend on their pets?
Oh, all people. Okay. So a lot of people have pets that they love dearly, and I'm gonna say that's probably a multi-million-dollar industry too. So I'm gonna say, probably at least 1 million people will buy something for their pet.
Okay, and what would the total be?
I'm gonna say, well, I said $100 each, but all right. So I'm gonna say five 500 million.
No, it's 1.3 billion.
I was getting close. I know people love their pets.
Sure, half a billion off, but or
Well, I
or
mean,
800 million
I,
off actually.
I am not buying. Well, so if I did buy Ruth Lee something, yeah, I try to buy her the cat, Ruth Lee. For the listeners, I know you know who Ruth Lee is, but I do try to buy her like a special treat or something like that at Christmas and different occasions. But I'm gonna spend like $10 or less.
Right,
So
yeah.
yeah.
All right, you know those little hearts that have sayings on them? Like,
Yes, I have a box right now, actually.
okay, well, how many of those are made per year?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I would say the big time that people have them, and I mean, they're made for Valentine's. I just happen to have these pre-Valentine's because of yesterday, but
Right.
I'm going to say so the month of February, and people get these, out at school a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to say that's probably gonna be like 2 billion.
Okay, so uh, most of them are sold during the 6 weeks between January 1st and Valentine's Day,
Yes.
and they are the second most popular item after chocolate, of course. And every day, approximately 100,000 pounds of those are made.
Jeez.
So that works out to about 8 billion of them per year.
I mean, I'm not really surprised that it's that large based on the other numbers that you said, but
Right. Yeah.
I don't even like them that much, but I like reading them. Like
Yeah.
you want to get the good ones.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned Hershey earlier. How many of
It
the
is.
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
of those do you think they make per day?
Oh man. I mean, so kisses can be like those are year round.
Mm-hmm.
Uh so that's gonna be real big. I'm gonna but you said per day or
Yes, per day.
so per day I'm gonna say 5 million.
They make 80 million per day.
Oh my gosh.
You were
Wow.
close.
Well, I knew it was, yes, I was close. I knew it was going to be a big number because, I mean, I have bought kisses and
Mm-hmm.
I happen to know that that's a big, just a big item year round. You don't have to be a Valentine's to buy those. So,
Okay, so most years it's tied with another candy as the top selling candy in America. What do you think the other one is?
oh my gosh. Well, let's see. M&M's.
Yes, it is M&M's.
I know my
You
candy.
do. Okay, you think you know it. What's number three?
Okay. Well, after that, you probably have to go with like, uh, hmm, is that just for Valentine's or like in general?
Let's say in general.
Okay, so in general, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Reese cups.
You're right. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, gosh, I was so close on the other ones. Now I need to buy a lottery ticket
Yeah,
because I'm
you do.
lucky today.
Yeah.
Well, see, I just know my month of love. It's like I
Yeah.
just know all these things. I'm pretty proud, I'll have to say.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. You didn't think I was gonna get all three of those, did you?
I did not.
Huh? Yeah.
All right, here's one you'll never get.
Okay.
The oldest known Valentine was written where?
You mean like on a envelope or something, or
The oldest Valentine.
like on the wall of a cave, hieroglyphics or
I'll
something?
give you I'll give you a hint. It was in a letter.
Oh, well, I bet people did put it on the caves because people loved all the time. All right, on a letter. Well, I don't really know. Like how do I love thee? Let me count the way. I mean, I don't even know. Okay, on the Constitution or something. Like I don't know any letters that are
No,
that.
you're off by 300 years. So the oldest known Valentine was written from prison, actually. Charles, the Duke of Orleans, was imprisoned in the Tower of London when he was 21 years old. In 1415, he wrote a letter to his wife with a poem that used the term Valentine to refer to her.
Aw, he called her his Valentine.
Yep, and it's considered by many to be the very first recorded Valentine.
Aw, was her name Valerie or
I have no
Valentine?
idea what her name was.
Well, I mean, now, of course, if somebody said, Dear Valentine, you would be like, oh, that's so sweet. But, like if you had like if your name wasn't Valerie or Valentine, it might seem like a little bit weird.
Hmm.
Like maybe he didn't know how to spell or, I mean, just out of the blue, if you never heard that word before, it might seem a little bit odd.
Well, there you have it. So,
Well, I have to say, just like you did not think I'd get all the candies. And honestly, listeners, he did not tell me these questions beforehand. I got those. That's all
right,
skill
yes,
right there,
yeah.
and life experience. But I did not expect that you would have all these Valentine facts either. So I'm also proud of you.
Well, I just happened to look up Valentine's Day facts and figures.
Well, there you go. Dear Valentine.
Yep.
How sweet. Yeah.
A-
Well,
All right, well, let's talk to Mason and find out about her love story, if there is one. I mean, I guess we're going to kind of have to say there is, but
there could, as I said earlier, it's complicated in life, love. So it could be that there's some love story, but you know, doesn't have to go down the traditional love path. So we don't know.
that's true. Well, let's talk to her and find out.
Well, Mason, it is so good to have you back with us.
It feels good to be back.
It has been like 2 years, or it feels like way longer. But, a lot of things have changed since we last talked.
Yes, a lot of things have happened.
Well, okay. So, Matt, let's try to recount here. The last time we spoke with her, she was going to take an overseas trip.
Yes, we were in the Mexican restaurant in Barberville, I believe, last time we talked.
Well, we were going to help her find a Valentine too in
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
our 2 years ago episode. And she was a wiser woman in college at that time,
Yeah, I remember that.
wanting to travel a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe there was something about a ex-boyfriend pilot, something or
Yeah,
other.
he was we knew he wasn't the one.
Right, yeah.
So we don't even think about him really.
Yeah.
He's out of here.
Yeah. So 5 years ago or something. And you were working, I believe. So was she at the clothing store or had she moved to the pharmacy?
I want to say pharmacy, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. All right, Mason. So you see what memory we have. So, you know, what do you remember where you were about 2 years ago?
I was working at a pharmacy.
Yay! Got that
Good
one.
job, man.
Thanks.
But before that, I was working at a clothing store. So we
All
did
right.
the first one. But I was working at a pharmacy. I was saving up and preparing for a trip to go visit Prague in Germany, which I did end up taking. And it was awesome. It was, first of all, flying, because it was like a 9-hour flight. And that was my first ever flight that I had ever taken. And it wasn't a good idea because I also found out that planes make me very sick and I had to sit through it for 9 hours and I'm in a different country. And I think we landed in Paris first, and that is a huge airport. And I was with my mom. She's my travel buddy. And we got lost a couple times, but luckily we had like a 5-hour layover. So we got on the right plane. Everything worked out. We got there and you could walk everywhere and they had these amazing buildings and all this great food, but they have no ice or Dr. Pepper in Prague.
Oh no.
Which is very sad. But let's see, because I was still working at the pharmacy by then. But before I took that trip, because I think we had it planned for about a year, and that was in December is when I went to Prague. I think in about August or July, I started talking to this guy who I'd known forever, and his name is Nathaniel, and we started talking, and I know we'll get into that stuff later, but he was so while I was in Prague, I think there was like a 7-hour, 8-hour time difference. So I was going to bed and he was waking up when we would try to call and talk to each other. So, and that was also weird, getting used to a different time zone and then coming back and everything be thrown off again. It took me like a week to be able to go to bed at the right time again.
Yeah. Well, so you had known the guy how long? I mean, you say pretty long. Is this somebody you grew up with or went to school with or?
Probably for about 8 years. We had went to the same church together, and he started going there when he was 18. And what year was that?
2016.
2016. So I've known him since 2016.
Wow. And was there any kind of, romantic interest at that time?
At that time, which I don't know why, and we've talked about this, we just we just never really talked to each other. Not until last year. Yeah, until last year. We had always known each other and been friendly, but 2 years ago. That's right. It was 2 years ago. But it was just things didn't start clicking in my head until way later.
Okay, well, and that could be because you were with Pilot Guy, or, like some of the people that didn't work out and, weren't worthy of working out. Maybe that had something to do with it.
And there was a little bit of an age difference. So he's 5 years older than me. So he was we had different interests at the time.
Okay, so I believe, now Matt, am I wrong? When we were like trying to find her the Valentine, I mean, wasn't there like an age limit that, didn't she have couldn't be?
I think there was, yeah. Couldn't be over certain.
Was it 2 or 3 years, something like that?
Yeah,
God.
It was a pretty tight range, as I recall.
Yeah. All right, Mason. So 5 years you went outside the range. What made you do that?
One thing I've learned, when you say that you'll never do something, odds are that it's going to happen. There's a lot that I'm just so on board with now. But we had went, I think it was July, we were kind of friends, and me, him, and my cousin, we all liked the same band. And Nathaniel had talked to my cousin, and he was like, hey, this band is performing in Nashville. If you want to get tickets, and we'll go. And my cousin talked to me because he knew I liked him. And so then we all get in a car together and we take a road trip to Nashville to go watch this band. And then we just sat, and the whole time, I think my cousin was kind of annoyed with us, but the whole time we were just talking. And all the way before the concert and then all the way back after. I think it was like a 4-hour drive there. Yeah. And it was just, I don't know. He was just always easy to talk to. It was just immediately because at first I was like, wow, he would be a really good friend and I just want to be around him.
Okay. So at first you're thinking friend, and are you putting him in the friend zone?
I was open to, honestly, I thought that because me and him were so different, I just thought that he wouldn't be interested in me, I guess.
So what happens next after the road trip?
Let's see, after the road trip, because I was still working at the pharmacy at the time and he had to get a COVID test, and he kind of texted me and I set him up for a COVID test and swabbed his nose, and it was very romantic.
What a romance story. Go ahead.
But then after that, we just kind of started talking, but he was the one who had initiated it. He was just like, hey, how about me and you just go out and eat somewhere? And I was like, yeah, because that's the way to my heart is through food. We'll go out anytime.
All right, where did you go?
We went, which is funny because the place that I chose, I don't like it, but I thought that he would like it. And we went to Bubby's Barbecue, and no, we didn't. Where did we go? Do you want to say?
Can't remember.
It was Sonny's. That was it. We went to Sonny's. But he also doesn't like barbecue that much. But I really wanted to go here, and so both of us went to a restaurant, and one of us really wanted that.
But I'm sure Sonny's is wonderful. It's but that is so weird that you would choose a place you thought he liked and it's the thing he doesn't like. But does he act like he does like it just because, he's with you?
He did. Honestly, the first time we went out, because we had hung out before that, but it was just as friends and we always had other people around. But it was the first time just me and him. And I could tell personally that he was really nervous. And so I don't even think he was really concentrating on the food.
Yeah.
Through it.
Well, all right. So when you're there with him, are you thinking maybe he might be more than a friend?
At that point, yes, because just watching him be nervous and ask me all these questions and wanting to get to know so much about me, it was just really sweet. And I thought this could just really be something.
Okay. Well, what happens after? So was this the first date?
Yes, that was the first date.
Okay. So what happens after this date? How long till the next one?
Not long, because he took me, was it 3 weeks? Oh, 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. I tried to push him off for a week, not on purpose. It was because of my work schedule. And he was like, let's try to do it sooner. And I think our next date after that, he came with me to my niece's third birthday party, her second birthday party.
That's commitment.
It really was.
Okay. So how did that go?
That went good too. It went well. He showed up with my favorite flowers. My favorite flower, I love sunflowers. And so he got me a bouquet that had sunflowers in it. And everyone was really impressed when he got out of his truck and was like, wow, this guy is showing up and he has flowers and he looks nice. He was the best dressed person there at my niece's birthday party, in my opinion.
Well, and so are you a romantic at heart?
Oh yeah, both of us I think are romantics at heart.
And so I mean, the flowers, did that help to win you over a bit more? Or the fact that he was willing to go to a family, birthday party?
I would probably say, ooh, because I do love, because he still does that now. He'll like stop and get me flowers, and it just shows like, oh, he's thinking of me. But probably him coming to somewhere, with all of I have a pretty big family, and that can be kind of tough on some people because there's a
Yeah.
lot of them all kind of loud and kind of crazy at some points. But it's like he just fit right in and he just got in there. And it also kind of helped because was friends with some of my family and knew them just outside of us being together. But it just, because at first I don't know, it's nervous to bring somebody to meet your family because then your family is in on it now. You like can't hide it from them.
Right. And
Like
so
nag you
are-
about.
what are they thinking? Like, do they know he's 5 years older? Do they care?
Oh, my mom loved him. My mom, before I even thought about dating him, she would bring him up all the time and talk about, oh, he's such a good guy. And because I have three sisters, or not three sisters, two sisters, and there's three of us, and she always talked about how one of us should snag him up and date him, that he would be great. So my mom was all on board with it. And my sisters loved him too. He's really good with people and he's so funny.
All right. Well, Matt, here we go from the second date. You up from there?
Yeah. So, fast forward a little bit, and how long were you together before you sort of knew like this was going somewhere?
I would say probably around 2 months. I thought this is it,
Really?
because I never, yeah, which is crazy. And it's also the first time that we had went out and hung out together, like at the concert, when we were in the car talking,
Mm-hmm.
me, cousin, we all said and we all agreed that you have to at least date somebody for an entire year before you can even start thinking about marriage or
Yeah.
like bring or anything like that. And we did not do that. It was
So you're saying that Nathaniel agreed to that too? Like all three of you thought that?
yes. All three of us were like in agreement that. Did you say 2 years? Yes, he said 2 years. He said 2 years. You can, then you can talk about marriage.
Must have been a
Wow.
really good band.
Yeah, yes. And it took us 2 months to get there.
All right, so you decide, well, I don't know, was it like, I guess he didn't propose to you for a while. Is that true or no?
Let's see. Okay. So I went on that trip to Germany and I was gone for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I came back from Germany, he proposed to me. So we were together 5 months before he proposed.
So I remember the pictures. It was like in front of a Christmas tree or something.
Yeah, which we both had known each other for a little while before that. I think that helped. And, we were kind of friends before that. And then
Right.
when we started dating, I guess, I don't know. I just didn't, he took me out on dates and I just didn't want him to go home. I just wanted to stay with him all the time.
Oh.
Right.
And then I guess we should probably introduce Nathaniel because there actually is a new last name for Masyn.
There is. Last time I was on, I had a completely different last name.
Hmm. All
All
right.
right.
Well, so let's talk to Nathaniel. How are you?
Hey, y'all
How's it going?
going all right?
So, yeah, so tell us your side of the story. You saw Mason at church and you guys would like ignore each other, I guess. Is that how it kind of went? Like,
Yeah. Well, I'll say this before before we really got to talking. Once you get out of high school and you get on up into your early and middle 20s, when you date, you're looking, ultimately, you're looking for your spouse.
mhm.
And you ain't playing, and not necessarily that you're going one date and you're like, no, this ain't it. We're going to throw them over the hill. But we're just you're looking for your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something I always took very seriously. And I didn't, which me and her cousin, we'd been kind of doing things together and just having a little bit of fun. And but yeah, I know there was this band, like what she said, that we was going to go to, and we all went loaded up and went down there to Nashville. It was on a Thursday, and went down there and went to the concert. And we went and talked, and I can talk to about anybody and make a pretty good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had a real good conversation. All of us did, going down there, and I didn't even, at that point, I didn't even think. I thought, well, she's very pretty and she's a very nice girl, but I never did think about dating. I just didn't see it.
Right.
And
Why
but
did
we
you not see her as marriage material or when
I
she was
did
younger? Or,
Well, I'll say this at this point here, which we're both very big in our faith in God. But at this point here, it'd been about 2 months prior to this. I went and told the Lord, I was praying to him. I said, Lord, I says, I'm done. I'm done looking for a spouse. I says, if you have somebody, you're just going to have to flop them right down to me. And that's about the way and I wasn't doing it kind of mean. I was just aggravated. And you can get discouraged too easily when you look for so long. And I've been looking since I was 18. I'm sure that's about how a lot of young people and people my age do. When you get out of high school, you think, okay, it's going to college or finding a wife or a husband, and then start settling down, finding a family and making a family. But at this point, I wasn't even looking for nobody. I really wasn't at this point. And so but I did pay attention that she was a very pretty girl. I did pay attention to that. Uh, we, but we had a good time. And yeah, the concert hit was all right. I ain't big on concerts, but I thought, well, I'll just go anyway. I ain't got nothing else to do. And we'll go eat something good anyway.
There seems to be a recurring theme of food throughout all of this.
Yeah.
So the first date, what's your recollection of that? Were you really nervous or?
I was really nervous, and like I said beforehand, I didn't think one time to even ask her out on a date, and I I couldn't get her off my mind, and I was just getting a feeling, and I'd done a lot of praying over it too. I'd a whole lot of praying. I thought, Lord, are you sure about this? Should we do this? Because I didn't want to, especially, I didn't just lead nobody on nothing like that, but I remember I went asked her out, and I work at a RV place. That's what I do. That's my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was driving on the second exit of Corbin, and I'd made up my mind that I was going to ask her out. And that Wednesday night, that was on a Monday, and I thought, as before I left her business over there, I had to run down to the second exit of Corbin, and I thought, I'll wait till Wednesday, and then I'll ask her on Wednesday if she wants to go out and get something to eat. By the time I made it down there to the second exit of Corbin, I says, I can't wait till Wednesday. So I pull over and I'm sending her a text. And that's how quick after I knew I was going to do it, I couldn't wait. I thought I won't be able to sleep or nothing just thinking about this. So I just went ahead and sent out a text. The reason I done that because she was at work and I didn't want to disturb her.
Right.
About an hour later, and I just asked her out. I said, "You want to go hang out?" And I thought that'd be a good slogan to throw out there. I thought they might be a pipe at that. So I sent that out. About an hour later, I was heading back to work, and I got a reply back. It said, "I can't such and such date, but I can the next." And it was due. In fact, I went and asked her if she'd go out Tuesday. That was Monday, and asked her if she'd go out Tuesday. She said, I can go out Wednesday. And the date, it was after church. Like she said, I don't like Sonny's barbecue. I'll eat barbecue time to time, but like she said earlier, I wasn't hungry. The only thing I was interested in is just being able to talk with her. You could have put down a plate of dog food, and I'd probably nibble on it. But I went, and we had a good time. It was very nervous. I was, and I hadn't been on a date in probably a year or so, and I just, like I said, I just took it very seriously, and there's a lot of people it didn't make them a bad person, nothing. It's just if I didn't feel nothing, I just wouldn't ask them or wouldn't go out with them.
Right. So after that date, she asked you to go to this family thing, a 3-year-old's birthday party. How'd you feel about that?
It didn't bother me none. I'm a pretty laid back kind of person, so it didn't bother me none. I was getting to see her again, and in fact, he didn't mention this on the first date. I went and initiated it again. I said, "Well, we need to do this again," and she said, "Yeah, I'd like it." And then, without thinking, I said, "Well, how about next Wednesday?" And she said, "Hey, that sounds good." After we went separate ways, I thought, what have I done? I put this girl off for another week. I thought I could go that long without seeing her again. And so when I got invited to this, I was all on board for that. And then she told me that her favorite flowers was sunflowers, and I thought, well, I might look a little awkward bringing flowers and a present, not to the birthday girl, but that'd be all right. And
good choice. So then she goes on this trip, and I mean, you weren't going to see her for a week, so I guess that was an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew prior to that, like she said, I'd say about the 2 month line.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was going to marry her if she married me. But I was pretty sure that she was all on board for it. But I we'd seen each other a lot, and I guess that's pretty quick when that you can say this is the one
Right.
and get married. That really is truly quick.
So,
How,
I,
how did you know?
uh, I had peace about it, and like I said, I had prayed for a wife for a lot of years, and like I said, we both have a big faith in God, and I just felt a lot of peace about it. And when you feel peace on something, you can go ahead and go do it. If you ain't got peace about something, that's on anything. You better hold off on it. But there was just a peace from the Lord that I felt on this, and plus also something that helped it. We was seeing each other. I'd say after the second or third week of dating, I'd be going over to her house about every night. And then I would leave, about 10:30 or so she could go to bed and go to work in the next morning. But I mean, literally, I'd say out of the week, I was over there 5, 6 times a week, and that went on until we was married, all the way to engagement and everything. So I guess you could take your average dating if going out on the weekends. I fit in a years of dating at 2 months. So
hmm. So, how did the whole proposal thing go? I mean, what did you plan that out? And I mean, obviously, you must have.
yeah, I did. After I knew that she was the one, and I thought this is it. And it's kind of funny. In the beginning, I thought, well, I'll propose in May, and I thought that's just a nice month, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's a ways off, and I thought that'd just be a good time, and then a couple weeks went by, and I thought I can't wait to May, and I said, well, maybe towards the end of January after Christmas and everything, that might be a good idea. And then a week went by. I says, I can't wait. Just like when I was dating, asked her out. I said, wait, when you don't want to wait, but you need to be patient too. But yeah, I'd finally decided, and she went on this trip to Europe. I wasn't for it, just because. I mean, at the time, I mean, I wasn't going to tell her no, but it's a long way
Yeah.
for two to go by themselves, and I'm just kind of a protector, and I guess it just made me a little nervous, but I am glad that she got to go and see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I went and planned it because she was going to be gone a week. It's the first week of December. She was going to be gone. And then I had to take a business trip as soon as she got back. And I was in Florida for about 4 or 5 days. So we was apart from another probably about 10, 11 days. But I went and planned it on the proposal. It was I think the 9th. Yeah, December the 9th. It was on a Friday evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to know it's hard to find a place to propose. Just go. You gotta be careful where you choose because for one, it's cold and rainy or snowing,
Right.
and a lot of places ain't pretty looking. It's ugly looking. And just because of no leaves on the trees, everything's dead. But I thought I don't want to be proposing inside of a restaurant. They ain't nothing against it. Just it ain't me. I just didn't want to be around
Right.
in quarters with a lot of people. And I thought for a long time, and it finally figured it out. I thought the only place that I can find suitable for this would be up at London, up there in the square where they put up that new Christmas tree and stuff, and they over there beside the school.
Yeah.
That's where I picked it at to do it, and I had a buddy that was helping me with that, and then yeah, I went and set the date there for December the 9th.
So, did anybody when I assumed you told people that you were going to do this beforehand, and did anybody was anybody like, well, it's only been, X amount of months, so you sure about this?
Let me see. I really didn't have that many people. I was trying to think of anybody that said anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think my mom, the only thing she went and said, and she wasn't opposed to it. She said, just make sure,
Yeah.
and which is wise, and which I done when I told her, I says, I'm for sure. But as far as anybody saying on the amount, time length of dating, really did, which I didn't tell hardly anybody about it. There was less than a handful of people that knew about it,
I see.
and that way the word wouldn't get out.
Yeah. Well, Kat, you want to continue to on to the wedding?
Yeah, well, I'm curious, so you wanted to keep it kind of a secret. Did you do the traditional go ask her father, for permission, that kind of thing?
I will say this about my dad. He hates having to have conversations like that one-on-one. So he told me, I think he was kind of picking up the vibes that with me, he was wanting to propose and get married. And he told me, he was like, tell Nathaniel, we do not need to have that talk. He has my.
We're good.
So he had to go ahead.
That's funny.
So, Mason, did you suspect that it was going to happen?
Not at all. I will say he probably played it up a little too much. Because he was talking about how, because let's see, he had picked me up from work and we were going. Okay, let me see where's a good time to start this. He came to Thanksgiving with my family and he had already set up, like he knew he was going to propose. And I had one of my cousins, she had gotten married and she was like, hey, how about you and Nathaniel go out with me and my husband and we'll set a date and we'll go out and do like a double date together. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And so I just think I'm going on a double date with my cousin and her husband and me and Nathaniel. And on the car ride there, he's, we're talking about this whole speech about how, we don't need to get married anytime soon. It doesn't care about the timeline. We can wait years before we get married. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is the first time I'm hearing of this, but okay, I agree with you. And so that was the furthest thing from my mind because we had just had that conversation. And also, he was kind of being like, I don't know if I want to go tonight. It was like raining. And I was like, I could try to call my cousin and see if she wants to reschedule. And he was like, oh, no, I think we should go.
But I had it set up for her cousin and her husband that went asked us out to go out with them and eat, and that was part of it. So they was inviting us out prior to this kind of a scheme to get her to go out.
Pretty slick.
So, Mason, I'm curious, why in the conversation would you go along with, being okay with waiting? I mean, would you have been okay with waiting for a year or two?
Honestly, because at the time, I thought I would have been okay with waiting, but now after everything's happened, because we've kind of talked about it, it's like I couldn't have imagined taking any longer to get to where we are right now.
Yeah.
Because it's like I would have lost so much time. But at the time, it did seem it still felt in my mind. I was like, it's kind of crazy because we were only going out for 4 months. And I know he didn't have anybody that was kind of like, hey, are you sure about this? I didn't have anybody in my family like that, but I definitely had some friends and coworkers, mainly after we got engaged, being like, are you really sure about this? Do you want to? But I don't know. I was just like him. I just knew that there wasn't, that this was it. I didn't want to go out and look for anybody else, and that I didn't want to spend another day without him. And I didn't want to waste any time doing it, apparently.
Well, so this surprise engagement or proposal works. You get there, and how do you make it work, Nathaniel?
With the engagement.
Mm-hmm. Like how, how do you get her to where she's supposed to be? And
Oh, yeah. We we'd went and eat at a little restaurant, and then I'd went and I'd had all this kind of planned prior, and her cousins there that I was friends with too. They'd went. I told them, I said, after we get done eating, because it was dark at that time, around about 8 o'clock or 8:30. I said, try to get us to go over there and see the Christmas lights over where I'd planned that I wanted to propose that, and and that was and that's what they done, and it worked right out.
well, so she said yes,
Yeah,
and how were you feeling when she said yes?
it was it was a great feeling. It's almost like a daze. At that point, you're like, there's so much going on, and you're like, wow, we've just made a good decision, but a life changing decision.
Yeah.
And it wasn't no, I didn't have no remorse or nothing like that. I was very happy, and she was too. It was a big surprise to her, and I was very nervous. I really don't know how she didn't pick up on it, but yeah, I was very happy about it. Yeah, definitely.
And so when was the wedding?
It was May the 13th, the month that I said I should propose.
Wow. It's, so did you have a lot of input into the wedding, or was that mostly for Mason?
It we no, we both had a lot of input in on it, and that's because it was both hers and my wedding. I let her do most of it, but we both had input as far as the date, which we wanted to have it at our church, of course, and prior to this, there was I because we have this place at the gym, the Family Life Center, and it's just a place you'd use, for your recreation or your dining and so forth like that. And I was afraid it was going to get booked up because it can get booked up months ahead of time. And so I went and booked like 3 or 4 different dates. And I thought, well, I'll book this. And this is before the engagement. I thought I'll book this. And if she don't like none of the dates, we'll forget about it and try a different date with her. And I thought, but just in case she wants one, I'm not going to do that. So I had like 4 dates, just in case. But it didn't bother me if she didn't want them. It'd been fine. But just in case, I got them.
Well, you think of everything there.
Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. So
Uh,
you get to the wedding day, and are you, both of you, are you nervous?
On the wedding day,
Yeah.
when I woke up, it was a weird feeling because while we were engaged to, we had gotten a house and we were moving stuff into there, and I was already living at the house, and I just kind of woke up and I didn't really feel nervous, and I was getting ready and all my bridesmaids stayed with me. My mom was there and everybody was like pampering me, and I was like, everyone should get married. This is and it wasn't until, because I was just so busy, I went and met with the photographer. And once I got there and we were going ahead and taking pictures, and it was right before like the ceremony was about to start. And it was just me and my dad. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the nervousness hit me. I was like, this is happening right now in front of everybody. And right before we went in, I'll share this about my dad. He looked at me and it's just me and him standing there. And he said, hey, if you don't want to do this, we can get out of here.
Aw.
And I looked at him. I said, I think I'm going to stay.
Aw. That's sweet. And Nathaniel, when you saw her for the first time in her bride gown, what did you think?
Oh, I think she was absolutely stunning. Which the whole day I was a nervous wreck. I don't even know why. I was just so hyped up and ready to get married. And then time was going by so slow beforehand. And that's one thing that after the wedding, during the wedding when it started, it went by so quick. It's just crazy. And but yeah, when I seen her come down the aisle, yeah, she was just stunning, and I had a lot of joy, yeah, overwhelmed with joy.
He cried. It was very sweet.
Yeah. Well, now that you have been married for how long?
8 months
Wow.
now.
All right. So now let's get into what it's like after marriage. Mason, we'll start with you. What does he do that irritates you?
Jeez.
I will say most of the stuff that irritates me is when he's asleep and he just doesn't realize that he's doing it. He just flops around a lot and takes up my side of the bed. And that's a whole other thing. I guess not a lot of people like talk about when you get married. You have to get used to like sharing a bed with somebody.
Right.
And a big adjustment. It's kind of better now, but I will say he is a bed hog.
And Nathaniel, I mean, do you realize that about, do you know that you're like taking up a little bit too much of the bed?
Yeah, sometimes I'll wake up and I do, but I'll say this: about 1:30 this morning, I woke up and she was all over me, and I was on the edge of the bed. So it isn't just me.
I have to take back my space.
Was it a hard adjustment for you to get used to, sharing that space in bed?
Not really, not too awful bad. Which of course we went and got us a king bed. We wanted all the room we could get. In case you. Well, I remember the first night woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning because we didn't leave right away for a honeymoon. We wanted to be able to rest. I woke up about 3 o'clock that morning, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm married." And then I looked over. I'm like, "Well, she's still here, so that must mean it's a good thing." She got a call through the night, but yeah, it wasn't too terribly. It was the hard adjustment for me was to realizing there was somebody else there, and to be careful on. I was just bad for it. I guess flopping my arms around a little bit. I remember I accidentally went and kind of hit her a couple of times, not hard, but just in my sleep, and it'd wake me up because I done it and scared me, and I finally got out of that. But it does. It takes a little time.
So why do you think for both of you, the marriage failure rate is very high? Why do you think that is? Like, what is it that people don't get right about marriage?
I feel like especially the first year for new couples, it can be really hard to just adjust to everything. And also you have to learn how to, at least with my experience and people that I know, me and Nathaniel have always been good at communicating everything, how we're feeling, just everything with each other. And if you don't communicate, or if you stop communicating, even if it's just over little stuff of, hey, I didn't quite feel okay about that, which we always check in with each other probably at least once or twice a week and are like, is there anything that I can do better? Is there something that maybe we're doing that you're not liking right now? And it's just because not everything goes perfect. And I love him to death and I couldn't imagine my life without him, but not everything is, I guess, sunshine and rainbows all the time. But we're really good at least so far from what I've experienced, we're really good at working through the bumps and trying to find middle ground.
Great. Nathaniel, what's the best thing about Mason? What do you love the most?
She's got a really kind heart, and she's just yeah, just a real kind heart. My I didn't. She's pretty. She knows how to cook. All that stuff I didn't ask for. And if she was neither one, I'd have married her anyway, because I knew she was the one. But I'd say her heart. She's just a real kind-hearted woman, and that's something I needed. And she's truly a blessing to me, and something that I'll throw this in too. Something that I'd thought of when she told me we was going to be doing this, and just a scripture that I'll say, and it's Proverbs 18:22, and it said, "Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favor of the Lord." And I've found me a good wife, and I'm very blessed to have her. And I want to add one thing too on the last question you asked. Of course, we'll be learning for the rest of our lives because people change. Even after you're married, you'll change all the time on what you like, what you don't like, places you like to go. But communication is something that you have to have in a marriage, and yeah, and being able to agree on things and not and both being equal.
Mason, what do you love most about Nathaniel?
There's a lot of things. Let's see. I just love how I can just be myself around him all the time. I can be serious when I want to. I'll be silly and he'll be just as crazy and silly back with me. He makes me laugh all the time. Let's see. He's so good with my family. He is. He just fits right in with my family. And that's a big thing for me because I'm very close with my family and I love all of them. And the fact that he'll make time for me and my family and to do these things. And he's so thoughtful. That's the thing. That's what I love most about you. You're so thoughtful. It's just he'll do all these little things for me. He'll pick me up flowers, or if I'm having a hard day, he'll stop by and get my favorite drink or just something that he knows that I like, a snack, because I do love food. He knows that. Flowers usually come with a snack or an energy drink or something for me to also nibble on, but he just is so thoughtful, and I love that about him.
So have you had the first disagreement or argument?
I would say we haven't had anything that's gotten like too bad or out of control, or we're wanting to slam doors or throw stuff at each other, but we've definitely had, I would say the only time we've really had disagreements is, I would say, just ways that we feel like we handle things. Because we're still working on that. There's just sometimes to where, and that was another thing I had to learn. I guess not everything there's a time and place to talk about stuff, and I'm still learning about when to talk about certain things with him, because not everybody needs to know what's going on with us all the time. So that's the only thing I guess we've ever had issues with, but we've worked through that pretty well.
Well, because this is, of course, February and Valentine's, these episodes that we're doing, we're pulling in a few of the social media questions, and we'll see what you both have to say. Who said "I love you" first?
He did.
Is that right, Nathan?
Yeah.
Nathaniel? Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Who is the most stubborn?
She is most of the time. I can be on some things.
I would say me.
Okay. Who cooks better?
He does. He says that I'm a good cook, and I am learning. I'm trying my best. There's a while to where we ate spaghetti a lot because that was the only thing I really knew how to make. But he makes stuff from scratch. He made chicken and dumplings for me from scratch the other day. He makes cakes and gets out a rolling pin and all this flour. So hands down, he's the better cook out of both of us.
Who's the better driver?
He is.
Notice I'm letting her answer this.
I would assume if you disagree, you'll chime in and let us know.
I'll take
Who's the funniest?
so what?
The funniest? Because I know she said she loved that about you, that you make her laugh, but does she make you laugh too?
Oh yeah, she makes me laugh too. I'd say we're both pretty funny. I mean, I'd say about the same.
I'll tie on you with that.
Yeah.
We're both amusing.
Who's the most social?
He is. We're both pretty social, but I will say he could probably talk to a wall. You know, he doesn't know.
Wow, Nathaniel, is that true?
Yeah, it's pretty true. I used not to be that way, but in the type of business that I'm in, I learned pretty quick. Well, I had to talk to strangers all the time, and a lot of business with people all over the country and even some out of the country. So I had to do a lot of talking with a lot of different people, and it's I can talk to just about anybody. If they're mean looking, I probably won't approach them, but maybe we might let that pass. But
Right. Don't be speaking to me because I'm pretty. All right. So, who is the neat freak? Because that can cause a lot of problems in a relationship if one person is neat and the other one isn't. So,
I will say I'm probably out of both of us. I think I'm tidier than you are. But honestly, neither of us are as tidy as we should be. But I'm more so than him. I would say I'm a neat freak. I need to have everything separated. And he's a toss it all in kind of guy.
all right. Well, where was your first kiss?
In my driveway as he was dropping off.
Okay. Who has more tattoos?
I do.
Who sings better?
He does.
no, she does. Yeah.
And the last one of the social media questions is, where's the furthest that you've traveled together?
We travel a lot together because now, once we got married, I started working with him, and we both, for the business, we travel a lot. We drive around everywhere. I would say
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
So that's around about 900 miles or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
One way.
And so you travel well together?
Yes. We have to do it a lot, so we've gotten used to it. Which he drives, because most of the time he's pulling something or driving a big motorhome, and so I'm a passenger princess, and I'll read him books, or we'll listen to podcasts, or I'm the DJ
or lessons. You'll have to listen to this one for sure because
we will cue it up.
Yeah. So, all right, let's look to the future. What's next for you two?
Definitely right now, because we're both working together and we're in the same business. I would say our minds are more so on growing the business right now. We have a lot of ideas for how we're going to do that, and that's our main focus. And obviously sometime in the future, probably not right away.
Don't say it because then it'll happen. I'm just throwing it out there.
We'll have the children farm where they can run around and play with cows and goats. But for right now, I would say within the next year, I'll let you.
Well, just working on just paying for things and getting some stuff paid off that's what our main focus is.
Yeah.
we both want children, and that's something that you need to talk about with your future wife or husband too before you get married. Is do they want children or not? And
Absolutely.
that's a one of the a real good conversation to have. And but we both, before we get to that, if one comes, we'll both be happy as a lark. But as far as trying, we'd like to wait just to get a little better handle on things and get some things taken care of. And I had somebody, they went told me, they said, well, oh, just go ahead and have children. Say, I went and had them when I was 18, and and so forth. Well, yeah, we can do it. We can go through hard times, but if we don't have to go through hard times, let's not do it. And so we're trying to get some stuff a handle on. But like I said, if we do have children, go ahead. I mean, we'd be both very happy.
So, when you had that discussion about children before you got married, how many do you both want to have? Like, what does it look like ideally?
I would say our limit is probably 4, because I had 2 sisters and a brother growing up, and I'm still really close with my siblings, and I love having them. So I would definitely want to at least have 2, just because it's nice having a sibling. And Nathaniel, he grew up as a only child, and so he kind of always wanted to have a sibling. So I would say the most we would do is 4, because we both come from pretty big families. So I guess the more the merrier.
All right, Matt, you got a last question?
Let's see. So, I don't want to sit here and try and think of one, so I'm going to say no. It would take me too long because my brain doesn't function that way. So, sorry. But we've really enjoyed talking to you guys, and Masyn.
They've got a song.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Do you guys have a favorite song?
Favorite song?
Yes, waiting sign. That's great.
Our wedding song? I would say the one that I walked down the aisle to. It was "God Bless the Broken Road" by Rascal.
Rascal
Yeah.
Flatts, yes. Yeah. That's a good one. For sure.
Yeah. Well, Masyn, are you now a wiser woman than when we last spoke with you?
I keep getting wiser by the minute. My mission to have all the wisdom in the world. And I will say, because me and Nathaniel are also very different people, I would have never thought that I would marry somebody like him. He's taught me about a lot of things, especially we have a farm and we have a lot of animals. And I've learned a lot about livestock and baling hay and cooking with lard.
That's
But-
hilarious.
Nathaniel, what have you learned from her?
Let's see. I've learned a lot about malls. Going to the mall,
Good job, Masyn.
which
I'm training him right.
I'd go with once every 4 or 5 years or something. But I anything else.
A lot of good shows. He used to hardly ever watch TV. I don't know. He just didn't. I've turned him on to a lot of good movies and a lot of good shows. I'm rounding him out.
She's trying to. She's trying to turn back time on me. I was raised both with mommy and daddy. They both watched TV and so forth, but they didn't have me until they was married 21 years. So I'm 26 right now, and mommy's 70 and daddy is 75.
Wow.
And so they're really the age of most people's my age grandparents. But I wouldn't take it for nothing. Yeah, it was a very good childhood. But yeah, we was raised up as far as parents' age a lot different. And a lot of ways it was good for me. I guess they had a lot more wisdom to teach me as a young kid.
Yeah.
Well, you both seem delightful and you seem happy together. And it's really been great to have you both on for our Valentine's episode. And, I can't wait to see in 2 years from now when we have you back again, all the changes that have happened.
I'm sure we'll have a lot more stories by then.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating. I feel like we've watched you grow up, Mason. Well, we really kind of have. And
That's I feel like too. You've watched me go through all these phases, and some were kind of awkward and kind of bumpy, but we got back on track.
yeah, you're doing great. Well,
Yeah, we're really happy for you. And Nathaniel, it was really nice to meet you finally.
Yeah.
And have you on the podcast. Is this your first one?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Well, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate the offer and appreciate y'all having us.
All
well,
right.
you might as well advertise your business while you're on here. So,
Oh, yeah. What is the name of the business?
Yeah, it's Countryside RV Sales. We're just over here in Corbin, Kentucky, off of 25. We got the motorhome or camper you need.
and you can call.
You can call area code 606-280-4333.
You have a website and all that too, or no?
Yeah, it's it's countrysiderv.us is our website. Address is 9179 South US Highway 25, and that's in Corbin.
All right. All right, Kat. Anything else before we let them go?
No, we're just gonna hope that you have a great Valentine's Day, and we look forward to following you on social media and seeing all the new changes as the traveling and just all the things that are Nathaniel and Mason.
And next.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we enjoyed talking with you guys. I'm so glad that I got to catch up with you guys and fill you in on what's been happening.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Next time we're down there, next time I'm down there in Kentucky and hanging out with Kat, we'll try and get together and maybe have something to eat because we know everybody loves to eat.
Of food.
Bring food to the equation, and I am there.
All right, sounds good. Well, take care, you guys.
All right, you too.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can send those to Kat at iWritePlays@outlook.com, or you can write to me at backstorysessions@gmail.com or matt@level11ventures.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.